Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, moni muli wanji, namaste, jambo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jadley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast, an iHeartRadio Best Kids and Family Podcast Award nominee. We are so delighted and so grateful that you're joining us in our mission to help families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to subscribe to the show in the iHeartRadio app, on Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, wherever you find your podcast. Our guest today is Prudence Williams Shipman. She is here to celebrate her debut picture book, Ruby Smiles. Hey, before we invite our guest back into the studio, I'm really excited to welcome back Alexia Brown, my co-host for Protecting the Planet with Your Kids. Hey, Alexia, how are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much for asking. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. I'm so excited. The response for our new series of special episodes has been so fantastic. People just love this series.
Yeah, I mean, it has been such a wonderful experience getting to learn and getting to have such fun activities with our whole community.
It really is fun. I mean, we are letting parents know how they can X-ray worms and kind of create beautiful art on their property that encourages people to save the planet, play board games together that teaches them all sorts of fantastic fun facts. It's a blast.
Yeah, and I think that we're having such important conversations together too. We're empowering kids, we're empowering parents. There is just so much fun going on.
And that's one of the things I love, the way that you've structured these episodes. It's climate change can be a really scary thing, and we don't want to scare our kids, and the guests that we've had come on, they're giving us great fun facts, but they're also helping us understand how we can speak with our kids about this without scaring them.
Exactly. And all the information is just in one place. It's easy and it's fun, and I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. The series is called Protecting the Planet with Your Kids. We have a great page on our website, but you can go right directly to that page by typing in protectingtheplanetwithyourkids.com. How cool is that?
Amazing. I'm so happy.
Oh, don't miss the next episode. It's coming up Thursdays here in April and May. It's Protecting the Planet with Your Kids, and I'll be there along with my co-host, Alexia Brown. Hey, Alexia, thanks so much.
Yep, can't wait to see you all there.
Oh, I am so excited. We have such a wonderful guest for you today. Our guest is coming to us from the beautiful city in Atlanta in Georgia. She's the author of Ruby Smiles. Please welcome to the show, Prudence Williams Shipman. Prudence.
Hello, everyone.
How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm wonderful. Really, really excited. People who have been listening to the Reading with Your Kids podcast may recognize the name Shipman. We've had Dr. Terrence Shipman on the show a number of times, and Prudence is his better half.
Yes, my sweet husband.
Yeah, so congratulations on Ruby Smiles.
Yes.
Yeah, tell us.
Thank you.
Tell us all about this.
Well, Dr. Shipman and I have been married a little over a year now, and when I moved in to his place, well, I had met Ruby, and Ruby is a very large dog. We think she's part husky or something. We're not quite sure. She was. They adopted her from another home where that mother couldn't handle her little kid and taking care of her mother who was sick. And so Ruby was big girl. She's a big girl. She's a very 150-pound dog, stands mid-thigh. And when they moved in, she's not an aggressive dog at all. But the first thing I remember, the first time I met Ruby, she stood between me and Dr. Shipman. She wouldn't let me get near him. And I said, she won't let me around you. And I'm not in any way afraid of dogs. She would not let me get around them. And it took her about 3 months to learn to trust me. And then it was grudgingly, but now we are very close. I love my little Ruby, my big Ruby. And she's the second lady in the house.
That's really cool. Dogs are just such a wonderful part of families. And I love too that you're like me. It's like, well, we think Ruby's a husky and something else. I don't know. We have my dog Augie is here in the studio keeping me safe, and we know that there's Beagle in there, but we don't know much what else. There's a bunch of other things in there.
That's Ruby, and Ruby's outside now. She spends the mornings, as the book says, sunning and taking care of the backyard. And when COVID hit, me and Terrence were both going to work, but all of a sudden we were home all day, and we got to really see Ruby's routine. And I taught from this spot, in fact, and I would go during my breaks and sit at the window that looks over the backyard and watch her. She's very serious about her routine. She has her spots to sleep in all day. And the cat comes and she takes care of the cat, and the squirrels are running around. And I was like, she has a full-time job, Terrence. And she gets up in the evening when it's time to come back in. And I said, she acts like she really worked a full-time job. She is sleeping over there like she did manual labor today. And so, yeah, I learned that she does. Every day she has a serious problem. Around this time of day, she's moved off the porch and she's taking care of the perimeter of the backyard, making sure nothing's going on shady out there. Yeah, so it was an adjustment for her getting used to us. When we were home, she was a little bit, what are y'all doing here? But she did get to stay in all day. We let her stay in most days, all days while we were teaching. And she would sit, like you said, right outside his office is on the other side of the wall, mine here. And she would sit right outside the door and take care of us and protect us.
Dogs can be such an amazing part of families. And I know cats too. I've had a couple of cats, but it's different. Dogs are so much different. I don't know quite how to explain it, but they really do become part of our families.
They do. They're very much, they have an opinion. Yeah. And they do not mind expressing it. And that's my Rubes. She has an opinion, and she'll let you know down to, I like what you fixed for dinner today, or not my particular taste.
Yes. No, I don't like this slop here. I like what you're eating right now.
Yeah, we have the battle of the canned dog food. Not her thing. She would prefer to eat the human dog food. Whatever y'all are eating, that's what I want.
Yeah. So in Ruby Smiles, we meet Ruby, and it sounds like a really neat story. So when we meet Ruby, we find out that she's had this busy day, and tell us a little bit more about that.
So the opening scene is what we hear every morning around 6. We hear Ruby dancing outside the door. And it's time to get up. That's the alarm clock. And she gets up, and Dr. Shipman takes her out, and she gets her breakfast, and she's just excited. Life is good. You know, she has a job, and she's eager to do it. I'm a teacher, and a lot of times I find that telling a story without telling a kid to do something will help. I think that parents can use this for a lot of reasons. A get up out the bed story. You got a job to do today, and you got to do it as well as Ruby did, and that's going to school. A family time story. Everybody has a job to do. Everybody has to do it, and this is how family works. You know, we take care of you, you take care of us, and ultimately, at the end of the day, everybody has to settle down to go to bed. So as a teacher, I know that, and even though I teach middle schoolers, even with them, I showed them the book. They liked it. They thought it was cute. I only have we're hybrid now, so I only have a few kids back in the building with me. So, they enjoyed it. They enjoyed it a lot, but they get it that there's a role. Ruby has her role in the household, and she doesn't just exist. You know, everybody has to do something. Even the puppy has to go out and take care of the backyard. You know, keep the cat in order. If you got a little brother or a little sister, because Caddy is younger than Ruby, you got to keep them in order. You got to take care of them. You can't let anything happen to them. So, and it's going to ultimately be a series. I finished the second one, and it's about Ruby goes to take a bath, goes to the groomer. For kids boys, I have, between us, we have 4 boys, and we always laugh at that age that boys go through where, getting them in a tub is just, and from what I've been told by some mothers of daughters, girls too, getting them in the tub. And so Ruby has to go take a bath, and she's very upset about it. And, these will be stories that the dog has to do it too,
Mm-hmm.
Not just you, but the dog has to take a bath. The dog has to get her nails clipped. All of those things kids hate.
Yeah. You touch on something that I think is really important. There's a lot of psychology involved in teaching, but also in parenting. Mm-hmm. And, I know I've heard some parents say, I don't want to trick my kids into doing things. I want to just be upfront. I want to let them have choices. I'm almost 100 years old. Things didn't work that way when I was a parent. It's kind of, I want to be respectful of my kids, and I'm always respectful of my kids, and I love to give them choices, but sometimes things got to get done. And if you can tell them a story or use a little bit of psychology to kind of get them to feel that this isn't so much a chore, but it's something empowering. It's something that's, hey, I'm giving you this responsibility, and it's not because I'm a boss, but because you're a big boy, you're a big girl, and this is something that you can celebrate.
Right. I find that in teaching too. Even with middle schoolers, I teach 14-year-olds. I teach young men who are 6 feet and taller, and I find that one of the things that they struggle with is the why do I have to do it situation. Well, do your schoolwork. Why do I have to do it? Where is this important? And I find telling little stories about, what if Michael Jordan hadn't done his homework and hadn't passed 9th grade? All that talent wasted. Don't waste your talent. It's not necessarily about the science as much it is about the whole picture, getting everything done. And Ruby is the same way. The Ruby series, as it will become known, is about you're a part of a system, a family. You got friends, because Ruby has dog friends, and you meet her dog friends as the story goes on. You're a part of a neighborhood. Everybody has a role in these, and if we don't do our roles, things don't get taken care of, and things fall apart. And so we don't want them to fall apart. So be like Ruby, do what you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. Go to bed, get up on time. And with my son, he's 20 now, but I do remember going to bed was much more of a big deal than getting up. But every once in a while, as he kind of went into his late elementary, getting up became an issue. Mm-hmm. That same thing. You got to get up. If you drag getting up, we drag getting out. So, I'm hopeful that it will help parents to give them. And Ruby's adorable. And on the back of the book cover is the real Ruby and Dr. Shipman. And they're adorable together. And Ruby was very proud. Her little ears laid back. She smiled for the camera. I said, "You gonna smile?" She was like, "Of course." She's quite a strutter. She's a pretty dog. She's really a pretty dog, and she knows it. You can see her strutting it. I say, "Hey, pretty girl," she throws little shoulders back. And when she goes too long without a haircut, she can kind of be like, "You feeling bad about it? You need to get your haircut done, don't you?" She gets a haircut. She goes, "She's so cute." She's adorable. So yes, dogs are incredible parts of family, and I hope my story, Ruby Smiles, will encourage kids to be a part of the family. Even in middle school, even in high school, you are a part of that system. And without you doing your part, it doesn't run as well. Mm-hmm. And if Ruby didn't take care of the backyard, the squirrels would run wild back there, Mm-hmm. She has a job. So I hope that parents can use that as a leap off of, these are things you have to do. This is how the family runs, and you're so important in a part of the family.
Yeah. Yes.
If Ruby's important, you are.
Yeah. And I think that's such an important thing, to help kids feel a part of something bigger than themselves. Have them understand that every single person in our family, at our school, on our team, every person can contribute. And I really think that that's empowering, especially for the kids who may not feel, they're not the star of the team. They're not the brightest kid in the classroom, but to help them see how they're contributing, I think is such an important job for teachers and for parents to do.
And it's a hard job. It's one of the harder pieces of parenting. Is the kids often want to say, well, you say that because I'm your child. And you're like, no, I say that because it's true. Mm-hmm. And, having kids, it is a blessing. It is a blessing, but it's a humbling thing, too, because your kids make you recognize that you are a very small piece of a larger wheel. And sometimes when they don't even feel like they're a part of the wheel, you're like, but you're so important. So yeah, it is important to let kids know that they are needed, they are valued, that their small part, like Ruby's small part, watching the backyard all day is really important to the bigger picture of this household maintaining itself.
Yeah, I love that you and Dr. Shipman are creating these beautiful books for younger kids. But I wanted to take this opportunity, since you've been teaching middle school for so long, you have some insight into a very challenging age for a lot of parents. My daughter kind of breezed through middle school and was very successful at it, didn't get involved in the drama, thank goodness. But my son, it was a bit more challenging for him and for us. Can you talk a little bit about the value that kids in middle school can get from reading, continuing to read with their families and co-reading with their families?
Amazingly, I was asked by a coworker on Friday to complete a survey, trying to dig in onto why kids in middle school tend to lose momentum in their reading levels. They don't progress as well in middle school. And I turned to my kids. I had 6 kids. Again, we're hybrid. I had 6 kids in the room with me. I said, well, y'all tell me. The question is, why do y'all resist reading so bad in middle school? I said, I see it as a science teacher. I see it. Every teacher in my building has to teach one period of reading. And I see it in that class. And they were very blunt and honest, which most times by this point of the year, my kids know that they can, within reason, as long as they keep their language clean, say whatever they want to me. And they said, well, we know how to read, so why should we have to continue to study reading? And I said, well, because it's one of those life lessons that you'll need forever. And then the very wise middle schooler said, not really, Miss Williams. When they still call me William Shipman, we go back and forth. And I said, what do you mean, not really? You don't think you're going to need to read for the rest of your life? He said, no, we do it different from y'all old folks.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was like, okay, let's hear it then. I said, continue. Uh-huh. He was like, well, when y'all wanted to find information, when my mom wants to find information, she goes online and pulls an article. I go to YouTube and watch a video. Ah. And I said, you are absolutely right. I said, but here's the thing. As you get older and the things you're pulling from the internet get bigger and bigger, like how much medicine you give your baby who is your world, or when do you take your child to the doctor? And I said, YouTube is not going to tell you enough. You've got to know how to read for information and knowledge. And they all sat there and they considered that. And then they said, but still it's a different kind of reading because there's a video there. And I had to acknowledge, 20 years ago when I had my baby, it was straight. Even though we had the internet, it was very few pictures. It was just data, just driven data. And I agreed. I said, so do you think we'd be more successful as teachers in teaching reading and promoting the cause of reading for lifelong learning if we incorporated your media? And they were like, yeah. They were like, and they acknowledged, we need to know how to pick out a good website. We need to know how to look at a YouTube video and know if it's worth looking at. And I said, and in my mind, I guess that is a part of the new reading, knowing, and we used to do it, but we had to learn how to identify positive articles and books. Mm-hmm. I guess they got to learn how to positive YouTube videos. I was like, wow, where's the world going?
Well, yeah, as you were speaking early on and talking about, well, I can just go to YouTube and see a video. It's like, in my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, but a book, even a self-published book, is edited, and so there's some vetting. Anybody can go on and make a video and throw it up on YouTube.
I told him that.
Yes, there's no vetting at all. But I love the fact that they recognize that they need some help becoming media literate.
Yes, and I think schools are going to have to do it a little younger. I know they do it in high schools. Mm-hmm. Our county, my state, Georgia, does it in high school. Maybe it's something we need to put in kindergarten.
Yeah.
But, I think in the back of very old people like me, I know my grandson, he's 18 months old, and he knows how to hold the phone in front of my face so that it unlocks for him. Mm-hmm. He can get it in front of my eyeballs, and I'm like, really, little boy? Or he'll take my finger and touch all over the screen trying to get it to unlock. And so I guess by the time he's 5, he will be watching YouTube videos. It's aging me. I know I show my age when I can't conceptualize a 4-year-old going to YouTube.
Well, even if they're not on YouTube, I've actually studied media literacy and taken courses on it. Even young kids are exposed to, I think the number was 3,000 different media messages a day, just in billboards and music and songs and what they see on TV and what they see on your screen and what they see when they turn the camera and unlock your phone. And so, if they're seeing all that, then it's important for us to help them understand what it is that they're looking at and how to discern what is valuable and what we need to think twice about.
And that may be something definitely to put together for parents, as elementary parents need to know certain things, and it's way different in middle school. Our middle schoolers, I'm in a 1-to-1 county where even before the pandemic, probably 5 years before the pandemic, all of my kids in my county received from 3rd grade on a laptop. Kindergarten to 2nd grade receive an iPad, and they take it home as full time. And so the pandemic was rough on us because it was such a shock. But as far as the technology, we had it down. We already were teaching that way. But what parents struggle with, and I did too when my child crossed over from elementary school to middle school, is middle school seems to be the cesspool, for lack of a better term, of what the kids go into media. They go from, well, let me ask mommy, can I get on this site, to by mid-6th grade. Wow, they're everywhere. And it's one of those tasks as a middle school teacher who has been using the computer probably for the last 20 years with kids, is constantly trying to stay ahead of their techno-savviness. Mm-hmm. They can break any firewall. They can get around any. I have never seen, and to the point where I don't even make a big deal out of it. If I see you on somewhere you're not supposed to be, unless it's like going to rank into illegalities, I go, no. Turn that off. I don't contact parents because it's, as soon as you do, as soon as we put up another shield, they figure out how to get around it. Mm-hmm. And it's easier just to, because they know it, but they forget about it. I can press a button in my classroom and see everybody's computer and everybody's search history and visit, I can see it. It's easier to look at that and see if somebody's really drifting off into the realm of no return than to argue about a video game. Yeah. And so I would tell middle school parents, I remember having a middle schooler and trying to limit screen hours and how that became a tug of war. And it wasn't a battle I was actually willing to fight. After he got about 12, I realized that we just had to have honest conversations. I had to set up an expectation and have consequences when I found that he did. It was almost impossible to monitor screen hours. Mm-hmm. It's everywhere, just like you said. It is so, is it the TV? Is it the computer? Is it the phone? Is it the watch? It's everywhere. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that is something that hopefully Ruby in my books will help kids and parents do something to at least open up the dialogue about personal responsibility, about privileges. And the computer is a privilege. Even though it's a necessity for adults, in a lot of ways, it's a privilege for children. Yeah, absolutely. And I love that, you tied it back very appropriately, that
the discussions that we need to have with our middle school kids, they begin when they're 2 and 3 years old, reading books together, talking about books together, talking about responsibility and how valuable they are and how the choices that they make have consequences, both good and bad. And if you start those conversations with your kids when they're 1 and 2 and 3 years old, the conversations just continue on throughout their entire life. I'm sure you're still having these consequences with your these conversations with your 20-year-olds.
Yes, I am. And you're right. I find that even with my 18-month-old grandson, we're already saying to him, no, we don't do that because it's not kind. Mm-hmm. We don't do that because we don't want to watch that. Or when we're watching something, we don't hit. Even though they're hitting on TV, that's not how we do it. That's not the way we live, and who should he be modeling? Model daddy, model granddaddy, model your uncles. But we don't model TV. We don't do the things that they do on TV because they're on TV. Yeah. If mommy and daddy are doing it, cool. But if the only reason you're modeling is because that person on the screen, you don't know that person. Right. That person is a stranger. Mm-hmm. Elmo's a cool kid, but Elmo, we don't really know Elmo. Mm-hmm. Honestly, we don't. Mm-hmm. 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 So, we already kind of looking at that and talking about, even with the little one, about, we watch Elmo. He loves Sesame Street, but we're like, everything Elmo does, we got to kind of discuss it. Make sure mommy and daddy agree with what Elmo do before you do it. Absolutely.
Well, this has been a wonderful conversation. Tell me, where can people go to learn more about Ruby Smiles and more about Prudence Williams Shipman?
Well, you can go to my Instagram, Ruby Smiles. That's my tag. The book is available on Amazon, and it will be officially launched next week.
Okay. Well, we are really excited. We've had a great time talking to the author of Ruby Smiles, Prudence Williams Shipman. Hey, Prudence, thanks so much for spending this time with us.
Thank you, and it was good to meet you.
Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Mayuri Nidu. I'm really excited to have her here. She'll be coming to us from South Africa. That's the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. If you are the author of a fantastic children's book, you should know all about our Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read program. There are thousands of books published, not every single year, every single month. And it's really hard for a book to stand out amongst that crowd of books, especially for a new author, especially for an independent or self-published author. And there's some great stories that are coming from those authors that deserve to be seen by families. If you fall into that category, we would love for you to check out our Certified Great Read program, a great way to let folks know that your book is worthy of their consideration and could be a great addition to their family library. You can find out all about it by going to our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Click on the Authors Click Here button at the top of the page. Scroll on down to Certified Great Reads. Want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, I want to start by thanking our guest, Prudence Williams Shipman. Also want to thank my team, Alejandra Doherty, Fatima Khan, Alexia Brown. Want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. We all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.